Just want you to feel a little bit of pleasure, music and pleasure. Welcome back to Generation Varied, everybody. This is the podcast where we discuss culture, health, geopolitics, sports, and everything in between. But we have a very special episode for you guys today that we are super excited to get into. I am joined by my two co-hosts, Jack Widener and Ben Okenge, and our executive producer who is behind the scenes, Sophie St. Furman. Guys, how we doing this week?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, but just a fair warning to everyone right now. I got the hiccups earlier today, and I have a history that when I get hiccups, it lasts for several days. So if I start hiccuping on here, you just know it's gonna come.
Well, I don't have the hiccups, but I'm a little scared about what my NCAA bracket is doing right now. It's not looking super great, but also not super bad. Listeners, last week we created a bracket between Ben, Caleb, and I, and love to provide you a quick update on that. Caleb, how are you feeling about your bracket right now? Ben, what about you?
Honestly, I'm really pleased with mine. I mean, I've got so far like my Sweet 16 is actually, I'm not doing too bad. Out of 24 people, I think I'm ranked like 14th or 13th right now. And for my Elite 8, I think I have 5 or 6 people already confirmed to go to like Elite 8. So I did well. I know everybody took the bait last week that I just picked my teams based off of the colors of the uniforms, but Homeboy did a little bit of research.
He did his research.
He knew what he was doing.
We call that a hustle right there. I should have put money on
it. So yeah, my bracket is actually tied with Caleb right now. My Elite 8 is still there. My Final Four is still there, but I know this is the last week. For me to stay where I'm at, I'm going to be going to the bottom, the bottom of the list for this week because I have some pretty big. My biggest upset is probably in my Sweet 16 area.
Yeah, I cannot say that I'm very pleased with my bracket. It's not pretty. A few teams have just really done me dirty. Kansas losing hurt really bad. NC State is really sneaking out of nowhere here, kind of the dark horse of the tournament. And so they've done some damage, but I don't know. I feel like you said, Jack, this is the week where everything is just gonna go crazy.
Collapse.
Elite 8, yeah, this is where it's like, listen, some people's Final Fours are about to just completely cave after this week. So hopefully mine survives.
I'm really confident in my Final Four. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really confident.
Who's your Final Four? I know you have Tennessee.
I've got Tennessee, Houston, Arizona, and UConn.
Yeah.
My Final Four is pretty much the same as yours. I just had Kansas instead of Tennessee. So if you do well, I do well. So
yeah,
love it.
I think mine is all different. I have Iowa State, Purdue, Marquette, and I think Arizona. North Carolina maybe. But anyways, I think this week we will be able to see who are the true legends. This is where the pressure is really more intense than the last week. So I'm excited to see who's going to be coming out on that. But speaking of just like sports, I know the March Madness tournament for both men's and women's are mostly in all the headline story and probably all the conversation starters for every single meeting in corporate America. How's your bracket? But something else that hit the news this week that really I still don't know how to feel about it. So it's Shohei Ohtani, the MLB player for Los Angeles Dodgers, in this gambling scandal. Ben, Caleb, first of all, do you watch MLB? And what do you know about Shohei Ohtani?
I personally don't watch a ton of MLB. I will go to a game if it's like close to me and it's in like a city and like tickets are like decently priced. If it's like a slow game, like that's a lot of fun to do in the summer. But I don't typically follow it because it's really boring to watch on the TV in my experience. and they haven't changed the rules in like 100 times and like 100 years, so it's not a whole lot of fun for me. But so I don't follow MLB almost at all.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever even watched a full inning of MLB
Oh my gosh.
baseball. Yeah, I'm just not a baseball guy. I've tried in college. I had made this deal with myself that I'm gonna go to every single sports team at least once. And baseball, I made it through maybe like 4 innings and I tapped out. And it's not much different for the
Yeah.
MLB. But I do definitely know who Shohei Ohtani is, because if you follow Bleacher Report on Instagram or anywhere else, you've seen this guy everywhere. So my very surface level understanding of him is that he is basically a living legend in baseball right now, and that I've heard. So don't come at me, baseball fans, if I'm wrong here. But I've heard several people say that he is simultaneously the best pitcher and hitter in the entire MLB. So I don't know how accurate that is, but if there are people even speculating that, then I know he's really great.
No, that's great. I don't. If you didn't grow up watching baseball, especially MLB, I don't blame you for not like becoming a fan, especially right now. The biggest baseball fans I know are those who grew up watching it. It's like an identity. It's like a lot of family ties, but just give everyone a little background on who Shohei Ohtani is. He's a 29-year-old Japanese pro baseball player that currently plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is a pitcher and a designated hitter. So being a two-way player is one of the most rare things in baseball, let alone you probably don't even see it in Major League Baseball in the highest competition property. So he's considered by many journalists, analysts, sports fan, baseball fans, one of the greatest baseball player since Babe Ruth. And if you don't know who Babe Ruth is, he is.
The Great Bambino.
I mean, how many movies? What's that movie called? The Sandlot or
The
something?
Sandlot, please, Jack. Jack, don't play on this podcast right now. Don't disrespect the Sandlot like that, please.
Yeah, he is. Babe Ruth is known for many things, like the way they describe this player, thinking that this is all different players. No, this is all one player. Like Babe Ruth is that person, and Shohei Ohtani is kind of making a run for himself. So, but take a step back when it comes to athletes that makes the biggest impact, maybe like economically or just in general. Who to you is the most impactful athlete? Like outside of baseball, like sports in general.
Um, probably like Lionel Messi. I think. Like, didn't he have like a multi-billion-dollar like compensation package? I think it's Lionel
Yeah.
Messi.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of names come to mind for me. I think of people like Olympians, like Michael Phelps, Usain
Mhm.
Bolt. I think of obviously NBA players because that's where my heart is at. So someone like LeBron and all that he's done for charity, and then obviously on
Mhm.
the basketball court. Um, but for me, like personally, the athlete who's had the most impact on me is Kobe Bryant, kind of hands down. Not only from how he was so dedicated to basketball, but then also like after his retirement, he was just headed down such a phenomenal path that we haven't really seen before from an athlete. Just like as a father, and also creatively, he was someone who just always wanted to work. So like when Kobe passed away, RIP, that was like probably the most devastating news that I've heard, like from, a celebrity or something like that.
Yeah, no, I love that. The reason I want to ask that question, and when it comes to Shohei Ohtani, there's a lot of stuff happening this week when it comes to the gambling scandal. But the reason I want to ask that question is I want to paint the picture to you both how big he is. So I'm only going to highlight just a few things. So he couldn't come to U.S. early on because he's from Japan and he only speaks Japanese. He has a translator. But when he came to US, he already made a huge impact. I'm gonna skip every season he did, but last year, he's the first MLB player in the history to have 10 wins as a starting pitcher and 40 plus home runs in the season. Like that has never been done before. He won MVP twice unanimously, and he's the most popular Japanese baseball player, and he sold the most jersey in Japan history. But I want to highlight a little bit more about what he means to Japan. So last year, the World Baseball Classic, that's like the World Cup for soccer. Like this is the place the best player wants to be there for this competition. He led Japan to their champion, beating the United States. The final between Japan and the U.S. was the most watched baseball game recorded in history, and it culminated to where he was pitching against his former teammate Mike Trout, who is the highest paid U.S. baseball player in America. And they were teammates, and he pitched him at the last inning, full count, throwing over 100 miles per hour baseball straight down the middle, letting Mike Trout hit, and he swung all three, missed it. So people describe this as like Naruto versus Goku, the samurai versus Captain America. I literally have a picture of on my phone of me watching that game, and took a picture that 3-2 count, bottom of the ninth inning, USA versus Japan, the two best baseball teams in the world, and competing. So he has this crazy effect on Japan. Just a report from economy kind of talked about how the social impact that he had with Japan in that 3-week run for that tournament, he generated around $480 million. And that they're calling the Otani effect. But now, just talking a little bit more about his impact, I want to ask you guys about the contract. Who is the highest paid contract you guys think is right now for athletes? Just contract, no sports deals, like outside,
Yeah,
like when it comes to performance
right.
and
Just their actual contract. I don't know. I would guess like Messi. I know that like he had signed. I mean, this is a while ago now, but his contract was like well over $500 million for just 4 years with Barcelona.
mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact number, but that's the
Yeah.
first person I can think of.
Yeah, I couldn't even presume to know, honestly.
Oh no, it's perfect. Ben, that's crazy. You're spot on. Lionel Messi, Barcelona, 674 million, 4 years. So that was
674.
million. Yeah.
Wow.
Next is
Wow.
Cristiano Ronaldo signing with the Saudi Arabia club, 536 million for 2.5 years. And then now let's go to US. Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs, 450 million. And then Mike Trout from the Angels, Shohei's former teammate, 426 million for 12 years. Shohei Otani, just this last year, signed with the LA Dodgers, just 30 minutes away from his old team for $700 million for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like unfathomable money.
Yeah.
And 10 years. So it's kind of crazy because what happened this week, he has a translator, Ipe Mizuhara. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but he brought him with him from Japan since 2017, and they're like inseparable. When he's in the locker, he's in the rocker. He is his bellman, his valet, his best friend, his translator. He is his trainer, his coach. Even at the Angels, when he played there, the teammates never see them apart. And just this week, he was fired and accused on Monday by Otani of stealing $4.5 million from him because Mizuhara has a gambling debt of $4.5 million, and he's saying that Otani paid him off. And so this is currently under federal investigation. It's still ongoing. I can't really comprehend like somebody who works so close with you for so many years, translating for you in the United States, and for this to happen, it's like Batman, Alfred betraying Batman, if not the man betraying Bat. Like they're
Mhm.
together. So Otani shared with the press recently, just a couple days ago, to summarize how I'm feeling right now. I'm just beyond shock. It's really hard to verbalize how I'm feeling at this point. Otani literally has no words for this matter. He says he said he's telling a lie. His translator is telling a lie, but he hasn't really said anything beyond that. And I think the biggest reason is this friendship he had since 2013 is betrayed. And
Hey
right
man,
now,
Jack, let me just pause you right there for 1 second. How are they this close of friends? And then the one friend doesn't even know that the other one has a $4.5 million debt. That just seems something's off there.
yeah, so that's where the investigation is at right now. Because when it comes to directing the deposits to the the bookkeeper down in Southern California, it has to be done through Otani from his account. So they are just curious, like, what is happening? Like, how is this possible? Like, that's the biggest question. How did his translator do it? How did he do
Right.
it? And the biggest question for Otani is like, why is he reacting the way he is? It feels like there's more to this. I mean, this is the biggest star player in the Major League Baseball right now. The once like generational athlete, if not the greatest MLB player we have ever seen since Babe Ruth. So with this scandal, like this is all unfolding right now. I would say we're at the second inning of the ninth inning for this a scandal. But Caleb, Ben, now that you hear kind of what the situation is at right now, any initial reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just shocked. I can't imagine what that would feel like, honestly. I've felt like betrayal from friendships before, but on such a small scale. And
Mm-hmm.
even in those moments, I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening, you know? So for it to be a huge matter like this and a major public matter, man, I can't imagine anything really worse than that.
Let me tell y'all something here real quick, and I need to. We're gonna
Uh-oh.
start this off early
Uh-oh.
here. Let me
He's trying to
just
tell the
pour a
truth
little.
right now.
We gonna put a little Henny in this podcast right now because let me say this: if I had a close confidant, and I'm gonna take a little sip. If I had a close confidant, somebody in my inner circle that did me dirty like that, drug my name through the mud, got folk calling me all out my name, my mama calling me, talking about, did you know? Let me tell you something. I am a Libra through and through. You have tipped the scales out of balance. And rest assured that before my time is up, I will return them back to balance.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a threat.
If there is ever, I say that to people all the time. I'm like, listen, I want you to know that you've tipped the scales out of balance. And if there ever comes a time where I can return them back, trust that I will. I could not imagine, Jack. Could not imagine.
Mm-mm. I think that's how MLB fans are reacting right now. Everybody loves Shohei. Everybody. He is somebody that just wants to play baseball. He's not. He doesn't speak English. He's not in tons of like media. He literally just after he did his press, you know what he did? He went to play catch on the field because he's like, that's what I know that do best. So everybody wants to see justice, but at the same time, I'm also seeing how he's handling different than what I say if this happened to another, like let's say U.S. athlete. He's very like still kind of protective of his translator, and I honestly don't blame him because he's trying to. I think he just doesn't know what's happening. Like he can't believe it. So I think he's in that denial. But hey, that money's gone. That 4.5 million gone. So
Hey, we're
we'll
talking
see.
about a man who makes 700
Right.
million. 700 million?
Listen,
He'll be all right. 4.5 million. I'm sure it hurts, but he'll be all right.
Let me say this. In the words of the great Cardius Beatrice, play with my money, might as well spit in my food.
Hey,
I don't care, Ben, if I do make 700 million. That 4.5, listen, I'll be over there with a calculator.
Let's crowd over
Let
here.
me
Count it up.
let me get this. Let me see. Okay, now
the literal receipts.
listen. We was at that restaurant the other day, and you had a Coke. We gonna let me write that down because you're gonna pay that shit back to. Ooh, you
Refill,
gonna pay
refill.
that back? You gonna pay that back to? They just said he stole $4.5 million. Well, we need to work out some sort of payment plan. Then we gonna listen. You gonna have to get your credit up because I'm gonna get my money back. Don't you worry about it.
With interest.
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. Well, speaking of conflicts, I need everybody listening to the podcast right now to lock in for our next couple of topics here because we are introducing a new segment called the Black Bulletin, where we are going to give you a couple of highlights of what is going on in the Black world, Black Twitter, and talk a little bit here about what is going on specifically with the recent Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy raid. Did you guys see it this week?
Bro, I saw it. Obviously, it's hard not to see it. I'm a huge hip hop fan. Everybody knows that. And I was like, what is going on?
One of them, my top, most influential song when it comes to hip hop for me, like that brought me into hip hop, is "I'll Be Missing You" by P. Diddy. It's a remix. But from that, like, it has carried me through. Just like, I'd be a fan, but seeing the news this week, I can't help but just laugh about it because of how everybody else is reacting to it. Because I'm not really weave into what's going on in terms of like what's been going on the past couple of years. I don't really keep up with P. Diddy, but for this story to come out and seeing the other like big time hip hop artists reacting, I'm just like, this feels like the beginning. The pot is stirred.
And it is. So for our listeners, music mogul P. Diddy Sean Combs is in pretty serious legal trouble. Since November of 2023, he's faced multiple lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault, harassment, forced drug use. There's even mentions of murders and human trafficking. One lawsuit mentions Prince Harry as a guest at parties where these alleged activities occurred, and mentions a whole bunch of people as well. So the FBI raided Diddy's home, adding to the gravity of the situation just a couple of days ago. Diddy strongly denies any wrongdoing, but his reputation has suffered pretty greatly. Do you know what kind of mess, Jack?
All I know is...
Do you know what kind of mess you have to be in to get Homeland Security called on you?
Yeah, that's not like they're suspecting something. They got a case. Like,
listen,
if this is happening,
look, there's only a few reasons to leave. For love, to leave the country for love, and for doing something you're not supposed to do at a federal level.
Listen, so it hasn't been. So we know that his jet was flown down to Antigua like the day that it happened on Monday, but it is not confirmed that he was actually on the plane. And so I haven't exactly gotten an update yet on it, but he has not. But there are sources that are saying that he has left the country. There are other sources that are saying that he has not left the country, and that he has. People are going back and forth on it. I haven't kept up with all of that specifically, but my biggest question for you guys is: do y'all think he did it?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro, I was listening earlier to this interview of Usher. And for those of you who don't know, a very strange situation in Usher's life that occurred is that he actually lived with P. Diddy in his home um, when he was 14 years old. And I can't remember how long they lived together,
They lived
but
there for a year, and
a year.
it was when he was 13, turning 14. Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay. So basically, a child living with a world famous rapper living the rock star lifestyle. And some of the crazy stories that Usher has revealed from his time over there as a child have been pretty insane. So I can't say that I would be surprised if these other allegations were
Mhm.
true.
what I don't understand is how people that were interviewing him were like, "Wait, what do you mean you were around when all of this stuff was happening?" Like,
Hmm.
I don't understand. That's like, I went and watched that interview, and I was like, "What on earth? Like, why did it not dawn on them? Like, oh, you were 13 around a bunch of grown adults that were involved in activities that." I mean, like that story alone, those
Mhm.
interviews and stories alone are evidence that like this is definitely a pattern, and that I mean, I don't think there's a world here where there's this much evidence and this much self-admittance, and like
Mhm.
he's not guilty of probably a good majority of the things. The thing that this does though is that there's so much speculation um you know, the people that he has uh potentially taken out, and I think it's all going to come to light. I think at the end of the day, nobody can say Cat Williams is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Facts.
Nobody can say Cat Williams is crazy because he called it that it was going to happen, and yeah, I mean, I just think it's crazy. So to put a little bit of timeline to this, November of 2023, former girlfriend Cassie sued Diddy, alleging physical and emotional abuse during their relationship. The lawsuit was settled within 24 hours. First of all, if you are guilty of stuff like that, you should not have solved that. You should have drugged that out as long as you could to send a message to everybody else that you have wronged, that if you are going to come for me, I'm going to drag this out. But he couldn't because Cassie's husband had leverage, had receipts, photos and all that kind of stuff. So I think he flew too close to the sun and thought that he was untouchable. This year, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, producer on Diddy's most recent album, filed the lawsuit detailing sexual assault and trafficking. This same month, in February, more lawsuits followed with similar accusations. I mean, there are celebrities named: Bishop Jakes, Cuba Gooding Jr. I mean, so many people. And so it's crazy. I think one of the funniest things, I shouldn't say one of the funniest things, because we don't want to make light of any of this stuff. Like, these crimes are very, very serious. Trafficking is very, very serious. But a lot of times, the way we handle a lot of things, at least in our world, is we try to find something to joke about. So, have you guys seen anything that 50 Cent has put on his Instagram?
Look, 50 Cent feels like he has the biggest "I told you so" moment. Um, and I apparently they had like a 14-year beef, if not longer. And there's like he's like is working with a media company producing a documentary about P Diddy and everything that goes along with it. So it's like a perfect timing. So he is just I know he's on Twitter, like a lot of people are just liking he's just going viral for every single tweet, essentially, as it relates to P Diddy. I think that's kind of funny. Like, I think P Diddy did it because of, not because, well, I don't really know who him personally, but like by the way everybody else is reacting, especially
Mm.
50 Cent, especially Cat Williams. Like, oh, like everybody is having, some people are having the "I told you so" moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect there will be a lot of amazing memes that come out of this. Um, I haven't seen a ton yet. I haven't been on the internet a whole lot in the past day, so I haven't seen a ton. But one that like immediately comes to my mind that like I'm expecting I'm gonna see it is like, you know, the picture of P. Diddy when he's a judge on American Idol and he's just
Oh
kind of
no.
like staring them down
Yes,
and like
yes.
like it looks like almost in shock. I need to see that one. Somebody's got to do something good with that.
Listen, the I've got a couple of tweets here that I'm gonna read to y'all that when I say they had my side hurting. So this one is from Unk on Twitter. It says, Diddy probably had everybody in the house already in cuffs. That was the FBI's easiest raid ever.
Wow.
You're doing a favor.
Can you imagine the FBI break down your door and everybody inside's already in handcuffs? Oh
Bro.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. I have been Black Twitter remains undefeated. So happy that I get to witness
Oh
some of the
man.
funniest people in the world when things like this happen. I do have a quick blind react for you guys that I want you guys to go ahead and get ready for it. So this is P Diddy's neighbor that is pulling
Oh
out of
no.
his driveway and is talking to reporters. And let me see if I can get this pull up here. 1 second.
Yeah, tell them stop bringing all the miners over here late at night. I live right next to him. He do too much. It be like buses, like big ass buses. You just see all type of shit hop out. Especially at nighttime, like around 3 o'clock in the morning. It gets wild. I'm his neighbor. When my basketball go over there, I just let it be because I don't want to knock on the door.
Can you imagine somebody saying, when a basketball goes over there, I just let it be because I don't want to go over.
Yeah,
Can you
bro.
imagine throwing away a basketball every single
Because I'm
time?
not gonna go see that neighbor. Everybody has that neighbor. It's just crazy that that guy's is P Diddy.
Oh my god. Can you imagine
They
the
said
neighborhood not asking for their basketball bag? You have that big of a reputation. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Just trifling. So yeah, I definitely think he did it. But I do not rejoice in anybody falling. I don't rejoice in any of the terrible things that have happened or been committed. But you cannot say that Cat Williams was wrong because he was not. So, quick hypothetical for you guys: y'all are involved in a little scheme, a little international crime. We're gonna keep it white collar. Let's say maybe some tax evasion or something like that, and the government is after you. What's your move? Are you standing 10 toes and trying
Hmm.
to fight it? Are you running? And money's like not really an object in this scenario. So you can go and do what you want to do. What are you doing?
Caleb, let me ask you, how do you think I ended up in America?
oh my
Oh
gosh.
Lord. Lord, Ben, I cannot be held.
No,
I cannot be held as a witness or
no,
anything
no.
like that. So
I'm
please.
playing. I've never committed any crime. You could background check me. I'm waiting on my green card right now, like the upstanding citizen of the world that I am. Um, no, honestly though, if I were in this type of situation, it would be very tough, but I would have to go back somewhere in Africa. I feel like there's so many spots where you could hide out for the rest of your life in Africa and nobody's going to go over there. Like, let's just say that P. Diddy really did flee to Antigua. I hope that he did not plan on just staying there because he's going to get found. Like, you can't just hide in the Caribbean. Everybody's going over there. So, you know, a
yeah,
little bit of strategy if he was on that flight to Antigua, that better have been a pit stop for him. Um, yeah.
I I don't know what is the country you should hide in. Well, in terms of like be not found, I had no idea. But definitely somewhere warm, somewhere nice. That way I can enjoy the last few moments, couple of months before Yeah.
So my perspective on it is this, okay? And I've thought about this long and hard because y'all know I love me a little white collar crime. I'm gonna take a sip to that.
Caleb, for some reason, it just doesn't surprise me that you already had an answer to that. This is something you stayed up at night thinking about this.
Where
So
would I
let me
go?
point this out to you. The first thing you need if you're on the run is you need to be around like-minded people like you. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? You need friends because friends are going to have your back. So you need to go you if you're just doing white collar crime and you have to like escape the country, it's officially not white collar anymore, okay? So you might as well just join the fray. You need to join some kind of organization and some kind of like international crime scheme. You know, I'm not saying I'm not pushing any drugs or anything like that, but if you need to be an accountant somewhere, I mean, you have to. But I'd probably hit up like I wouldn't go South America. I'd probably go somewhere like super remote, like somewhere in Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
someplace
I
that
was thinking
has
about the
like
same thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
some kind of connections where there's a little organized crime going on somewhere and you can't get found. Like absolutely.
Maybe I'll go to Thailand. That's not a bad
Bali.
place.
Bali
Yeah.
is a
Oh
place.
yeah, Bali. That's a good spot.
Yeah. I would also probably go someplace that has like really good plastic surgeons. So like I don't think Turkey's that bad of an idea. Turkey's not a bad idea because they have a lot of like plastic surgeons. Because like I'm
Hmm.
probably gonna make some minor tweaks to my face so that I can't be recognized, so that I can live like out in the open. And like absolutely, I mean that's what I would do if I had to run
True.
like white collar crimes. But
All right, Caleb, you just exposed yourself. So if in 20 years you ever do something bad, people will be able to listen back to this and they'll know exactly what your plan is.
listen, my conscience is too strong to ever actually be involved in anything. I get disappointed with myself and sad if I like litter on the sidewalk. I would never.
Oh,
Good.
bro, same. You know something? Um, I I heard this quote from like I think it was Alex Hormozy, who's like a business mogul, and he talks about how like you always should work as hard as you can because like even if other people don't know that you're not, but you'll know. And so like every time I'm about to do something like that is wrong or like I'm just considering it, even if it's just something like spitting my gum on the sidewalk, I'll be like, okay, I could do this, no one will know, but I'll know. And I just like I can't live with that feeling of
Yeah.
like I'll know.
Yeah, yeah. You want to have a good reputation within yourself. You want to have a clean conscience. I sleep very well at night, knowing that I try to live by the rule of do no harm, and that includes like that's like to the whole world, but also like to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Yeah.
there with you. Yeah.
You know who is definitely losing sleep at night these days is
Oh.
yeah.
Listen, we gonna get a little bit more on that note. Let's.
Yeah, J.
There's so much
Cole
going
and
on.
Drake. J. Cole and Drake are definitely two people who are losing some sleep right now. I will get more into the specifics of exactly what I'm talking about, but for those of you who don't know, just this past Friday, hip hop producer Metro Boomin put out his latest album called "We Don't Trust" with Future, and I personally thought it was a phenomenal album. But I want to hear like, have you guys had a chance to listen to it yet?
Yeah, I listened to it for work. I heard the most popular song on the album on the weekend, but I listened to the full album the last 2 days, just really digesting it. Yeah, I love the album, and I'm also just watching a ton of reaction. I love listening to people breaking down um, the new albums that comes out, especially when it comes to hip hop, because there's
Mhm.
so much that's happening that I don't understand. But this album definitely has everybody on the edge and everyone excited.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the whole album yet. I'm flying out on Friday, so I had planned on like really like that whenever I take a trip, I try to find one album and listen to it the whole way. That way, when I hear songs from that again, it brings back all of those memories, right?
Caleb, let me
And
interrupt
so
you, bro. I know if you are traveling on Friday and you save this album for Friday, you will not listen to it because you're forgetting.
you're so
Beyonce
right. You're so
drops
right.
on Friday, bro.
You're so right. You're so
You're gonna
right.
be listening to Beyonce. We all know it. Everybody's gonna be listening to Beyonce this Friday. So listen to
Ben,
it before then.
listen, you know me so well. I'm gonna drink to that here.
Big wig.
Shout out Cowboy Carter dropping in like less than 48 hours. I am absolutely feral about it. It's gonna be. I mean, she announced the track list today. She has a duet with Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Hey, amazing.
I've been hearing a lot of there's Dolly Parton apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently it's like a remix of Jolene.
Yeah,
There's gonna be some heaters on it. But
it's
anyway,
gonna be
not to
great.
divert the conversation, back to this album. You will listen to it, hopefully
Yes,
before Friday.
yes.
I personally listened to the album all the way through several times. It's probably one of my favorite albums of the year so far. But really, for me, what it did was it really showed me that it's not really a point of debate anymore who the best producer in hip hop is right now. I feel like this is a conversation that hip hop fans have all the time is like, who's really making the best music right now? And just this run that Metro Boomin has been on is like,
Dude.
Metro Boomin cannot miss.
Yeah.
There was not a single song on this album that I felt was a skip, and I can be very picky. So I totally love the album.
I think there's always a lot of like conversation about like producers and that kind of stuff. Like, and what I love because I just started like getting into like the understanding like the producer rapper like basically partnership.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that there's actually beef between Metro Boomin and like Tay Keith on like Drake's side, which
Yeah.
I think is like super super interesting. But I know you're gonna get into that. I think the producer beef is like even like super cool because it's like at the end of the day, it's great that in hip hop, in rap, when we're beefing with people and when we're battling with people, it's not go pull out a gun and like I'm gonna go shoot up your block. It's get in the booth. I love that as a culture. That's what we've shifted to, and
Yeah.
now we're looking at the music, and that's what it should be about. You know?
Totally. It's just artist, and the medium is art. It's not
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to get any crazier than that. And sometimes it does get personal. We've seen that in the past several times, and actually with Drake always. But like that is such a cool part about hip hop. So this album had tons of notable songs. I could, talk about the album, but that would be its own podcast. The one that has stirred up the most controversy, though, the one that everyone's talking about, is this new diss track that is a feature from Kendrick Lamar. And man, I don't even know where to begin with this. Did you guys listen to it? It's called Like That, by the way. For those who haven't heard it yet.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I played that song so much this week, and what caught me, the beat is what like, oh, this is amazing. And then when I listened to that song, I didn't know Kendrick was in it, and it's one of those things. I sometimes like it when artists or like they don't show who is featured, but then they appear in the song. You're like, whoa, like this is it's a great feeling for listeners to like have that experience. And there's no bigger name drop than Kendrick. No bigger.
Right.
And at first I didn't realize it was a diss track. And I actually Ben and Kayla love you if you can dive in a little bit to the like what like the importance of diss track for you both, like over the years and what it means to you and how it comes out right now, like the significance of this. But just the song itself is amazing. It feels like a soundtrack of a movie, like an amazing movie, and some of the best rapper like with the great lyrics on the same song.
Yeah, totally. So I knew immediately that it was a diss track. There were a few just dead giveaways, and I listened to it pretty much like right after it came out. So the buzz hadn't really started about it yet, and I was listening to it and kind of just like zoned out, feeling the music. And then when I heard some of the things Kendrick was saying, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me go back to the beginning here, because I hear shots fired right now. So Caleb, why don't you break down kind of a little bit of the background of the beef here?
Listen, y'all better lock in for this, okay? So basically, at the end of the day, what happened is 2022, Future and Drake collabed on a mixtape, What a Time to Be Alive, right? And Future and Drake have always been pretty good friends. Now, like for context, this all is pretty much about like the Atlanta rap scene, okay? Because remember that Drake is not American, and so he's not technically a part of like one of the major cities in rap and hip hop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in rap and hip hop, each city, the major cities, all have their own style, flow, history, legends, people that you've never heard of in the mainstream media that are still considered as like legends and all of that kind of stuff, right? There's beef within cities, there's beef between cities, all of that kind of stuff. But all of that to say, Future and Drake had always been really good friends. Right after Future, uh, right after Future and Drake put out that album, the next album that came out, Drake did an album with 21 Savage. And they were sneak dissing Future on it. And also Drake has just been super messy lately. Sneak dissing different people left and right. Sneak dissing Rick Ross. Uh, uh, they were dissing Megan Thee Stallion. Drake did. He was dissing Rihanna. He's mad at Rihanna because she basically turned him down, and he's like she's all that he ever wanted when he was earlier in his career, and people were just pretty much fed up with it. And so it's really interesting just because so on Drake's side, he's got Drake, 21 Savage, and J. Cole. They were all doing a tour together. J. Cole had also been I think J. Cole had like dissed Kendrick too on one of his most recent songs. And J. Cole is messy too. J. Cole and Drake are just messy. And 21 just had beef with Future from Atlanta when they came up sort of during the exact same time. So on Drake's side, you have Drake, 21, J. Cole, and his like sort of supporting cast, if you will, is SZA, Sexy Red, and Nicki Minaj, right? Nicki Minaj, Drake, and Wayne were a part of that Young Money, Cash Money group back in the day, Young Money, Cash Money Records. And on the other side, you have Future, Metro Boomin, and Metro Boomin has beef with Drake over I think it's over like some different beats that he never got credited for. Metro Boomin, Future, and then we have Kendrick that steps onto the scene.
Just slides right in there.
And if you're not familiar with his work, Kendrick is not the one that you want to mess with.
No.
Ben, who is better lyrically than Kendrick?
Literally no human alive. I don't know how else to put it. There are some really crazy lyricists in different ways, but like Kendrick is the one who can make music that has mass appeal that is still incredibly lyrical. All of the other really good lyricists that are rappers, unless it's like just silly wordplay, they aren't people that are like A-listers. So Kendrick is kind of unique in that way. Yeah,
I watched
not the person you want to mess with.
Yeah, I watched a few YouTube reaction, and I was watching J. Cole fans, and J. Cole fans are only afraid of one person, and that's Kendrick. And that should show you enough about Kendrick's as an artist, you know. So for him to come on this this track and what he was saying, Ben, I can't wait to hear you break it down. But no,
Yeah.
it's huge.
I mean, there's nobody better than Kendrick. Kendrick is mad and hopped on because I think Kendrick got a sneak diss on the last Drake album. And you have to think, Kendrick doesn't actually collab with a bunch of different artists. He doesn't.
Mm-mm.
He's very choosy about who he decides to work with. But if you do if you're on a feature with Kendrick, or if you do an album with him, or you're touring with him, he's technically like co-signing you as like, this is somebody that I mess with, so the rest of the industry is gonna mess with you too, right? And
Yeah.
so with the sneak disses to Rihanna and to Megan, Rihanna, one of Kendrick's biggest songs is Loyalty, right? That
Yeah.
song did numbers. He's not going to let you talk about his little sister like that, right? Same thing with Megan. Megan was featured on one of Kendrick's last albums and songs. He doesn't do that, right? And so it's one of those things where it's just like, you can't, like, he is co-signing Megan and Rihanna and you're throwing shade at him. You do not want to wake up the sleeping beast.
Yeah, definitely not. And the thing is, too, what woke him up was kind of inconspicuous. There was one specific bar on Drake and J. Cole's song from last year called First Person Shooter. This was like one of the biggest hip hop songs of the year, if not the biggest, really. And there's one point where J. Cole says, "Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K. Dot, so Kendrick? Is it Aubrey, Drake, or me? We the big three, like we started a league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali." So basically what he's saying there is that the top three in the rap game is himself at number one, followed by Drake and Kendrick. And so I wouldn't necessarily call it a diss, but Kendrick definitely was like, hey, why'd you bring my name into this, man? And so basically based around that, he built this entire verse for this song like that. So I'm just going to give you guys a few of the most notable bars from it. There's one point where this is where I really started listening. This is that moment that I was telling you guys about. And he says, F sneak dissing, first person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches. So he straight up names the song that he's referencing. And that kind of guides the listener throughout the rest of the verse. Like, okay, I know who we're talking about right now. Then at one point he says, F the big three, it's just big me. And he says, I'm really like that. Your best verse is a light pack. Even Prince outlived Mike Jack. Now, for those of you, like, man, that might not seem like much what he's saying, but he's basically just saying, I'm number one. There's no big three. Nobody's talking about this. It's just me. And then he says, you know, your best verse, basically light work. And then he makes a reference, which is more specifically directed to Drake. He says, Prince outlived Mike Jack. And so there's a couple things going on there. First of all, Drake refers to himself in that first person shooter song, and he says, I'm one away from Michael, beat it. And so basically he's saying in all of music, he is second from the top. But then even deeper than that, Prince and Michael Jackson back in the day, they had beef as well.
Right.
And this went on for a really long time. And so I guess what Kendrick is pointing at here is that, like, Michael Jackson was kind of more notable within pop music for making catchy tunes that everyone really liked, whereas Prince kind of had some deeper meaning to everything he was doing. And so that feud didn't always seem kind of fair from just a numbers standpoint, because he felt like Prince was just a better artist. And so that's what he's saying about himself right there. And then he's saying that, like, at the end of the day, Prince lived longer than Michael Jackson. And so basically make of that what you will.
Yeah, I think what's funny is that what's funny is that I just I mean, here's my thing. Drake's response. First of all, we ain't seen him in the booth yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We ain't seen him in the booth yet. But we have heard from him at a concert recently where he after one of his songs walked up and down the stage and said this, I got my head up high and I'm gonna he said it very confidently, but I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
say it how it sounds to the rest of us. I got my head up high, my back straight, I'm 10 toes down, and I know that no matter what there's not another man on this earth that could ever F with me. Get in the booth, Aubrey.
Oh, he
Get
will.
in the booth.
You know he will. Kendrick closed out the song saying, "For all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these nines. We gonna see Pet Cemetery." Basically, again, straight at Drake.
Mm-hmm.
We know his album was for all the dogs. He's saying it's getting buried. Kendrick with all these nines. We're gonna see Pet Cemetery. He's about to bury Drake, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
This is a threat.
And
Yeah, I can definitely say this is not gonna be the end of the story. Jack, how do you think they're gonna respond?
well, for a top, sure, what I think they'll respond. K9, like K9.
That's hard. That's hard,
Like, do you see it? Like
bro.
he is.
Listen.
Kendrick's just warming up.
Kendrick woke up out of bed and listen, lit a cigarette and said, somebody go get me a couple Post-it notes. Let me just remind him who has 17 Grammys and is the #1 rapper in the 21st century. Okay? Like, it is so crazy to think about. I think so there's also, now here's where things get interesting. This is my last point. There is talks that Kendrick is going to do a collab with Cardi B, and that
no.
Cardi B is joining the fray.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That would be huge. I don't care about the Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B debate. Invasion of privacy changed the game. Cardi B is an artist who puts out a body of work when she does put out an album, right? I think she's a phenomenal artist, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. It's like, we're going to get good music. Like, we don't lose.
Yeah, there's no losing. That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't care how this story ends because I just know that we're at the start right now and it's only going to get better. Drake has put out the best, some of the best, I should say, diss tracks of all time. And say what you will about ghostwriters or any of that. I do not care. Aubrey's going to get in that booth and do his thing. I'm a huge fan of all of them. So you're totally right. We won't lose as fans.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, I'm here for it. It's a great year. 2024 is a great year for hip hop, and it's March, and I mean, this album is just basically setting the tone. It's what it sounds like, and if this is the tone, it's gonna be a great year.
We love it.
Yeah, I definitely expect a response, and if he has to, because if he doesn't, I don't know what. A lot of fans will come at Drake for not responding to Kendrick.
Yeah. I think we're in for a great treat. Ultimately, I mean, I love Drake. Drake's the Lord of Light Skins, so I mean, he's the most problematic one out of all of us. So I'm for all of it. But as always, y'all, thank you all for joining us today. We hope that this episode brightened up your day, that you learned something new. That you laughed a whole lot, but we really appreciate the community that we are getting to build with this podcast. If you enjoyed listening, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on all listening platforms. I'm not gonna lie, I checked Apple Podcasts the other day. We've got about 40 consistent listeners there, and I only have 3 reviews. Okay, I'm gonna start calling people out on this podcast if y'all don't start leaving us 5 stars. Okay, this is crazy. I'm drinking Henny on this podcast. Y'all gonna go leave us 5 stars. But anyways, follow us on all social media platforms. Generation Varied. Our TikTok could use a little bit of love. And if there are any topics that you would like to hear us discuss in future episodes, shoot us a DM or email us at generationvaried@gmail.com. We could not do this without you. You guys have a great wait, Jack Ben, final thoughts, shout outs.
My shout out is to Aubrey Graham. I'm waiting for you. Represent, put on for the light skins from Canada.
My shout out to Metro. Just keep coming with this amazing these soundtracks.
Metro, we want you on this podcast.
Yes. Yes. Tay Keith, if you're listening to this too, we'll have both of y'all on. Hell yeah. My shout out is to my wonderful grandmother. Nanny, I love you so much. You are one of the greatest inspirations in my life. I love you. Thank you for believing in me. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you for listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode.
Caleb, how